Hello and welcome to I Like Art podcast. My name is Sara Glupker and I'm really excited to introduce somebody to you today. Her name is Alicia Puig and she is the curator and co-founder of PXP Contemporary. And PXP Contemporary, if you're not familiar with it, it's an online platform that connects collectors and with high quality, affordable artworks. And they believe in transparent pricing, building meaningful relationships with their clients, and providing exceptional customer service. And above all, supporting the talented artists who they work with and represent. Alicia and co-founder Ekaterina Popova, they have a combined 15 years of experience working in the arts, and they launched PXP 3 years ago to challenge the traditional gallery model and make the process of buying art a more accessible, digital-friendly experience. They art lovers, whether looking to add an already established collection or acquire their very first piece, can browse their curated section of art with fixed prices up to $2,500 US by contemporary artists from around the globe. And so as of December 2020, Alicia also expanded the gallery mission by donating a portion of the proceeds of all the sales to various charitable causes, including environmental conservation, social justice issues, mental health awareness and support, childhood education, animal protection, and more, which is so amazing. So I'm about to introduce Alicia to you. In addition to running PXP Contemporary, Alicia Puig is the Director of Business Operations for Create magazine. She's an arts writer, co-author of the book, The Complete Smartest Guide, and a regular guest host of the Create podcast. She has worked in the arts industry for over 10 years, both in the US and abroad. Her writing has been featured in publications and on blogs, including Create Magazine, Beautiful Bazaar Magazine, Candy Floss Magazine, HON Magazine, All She Makes, and Art Spiel, among others. Additionally, she has served as a guest curator for All She Makes, Rise Art, Hastings College, Repaint History, and Showfields. So without further ado, I'm so honored and excited to introduce you to Alicia. Welcome to the show, Alicia.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to chat with you today.
Yay, I'm so excited too. So welcome to I Like Art. This is a podcast for people who simply like art. They do not have to be artists, although I believe the audience is a combination of artists who sell their art and promote it and create it, or people who like to create art as a hobby, and some people who don't even think they can draw a stick figure. So it's basically a topic of art and creativity and how can we live more with intention and infuse creativity into our everyday lives. So it's a mixed audience, and I'm so excited to talk to you about what you're doing. Obviously, you have so many amazing things going on, and I'm very curious about this online art gallery space that you have created with Kat. And I know that my audience is going to love and learn so much from you and possibly buy maybe their first piece of art or become collectors, kind of take away the intimidation factor of that and really get down to what that looks like for people who are interested in purchasing amazing, incredible, original art. So how do we get started with, I'm going to let you take this.
Sure. How do we get started? So I guess I'll go back to the beginning. As you mentioned in the introduction, I've been in the arts for over a decade. I'm getting closer to 15 years now. Oh my gosh.
Yay.
But in that time, a lot of my experience was specifically in contemporary art galleries. And so I saw firsthand on the artist side that it was just really difficult for young, emerging, new artists to basically get their foot in the door. And as a result of that, then a lot of them would end up giving up. And that's really sad because it wasn't because they weren't talented. It wasn't because they didn't have the drive. It was because there just weren't enough opportunities for them. And it was really, really difficult. And then on the collector side, again, I was working in these kind of contemporary galleries, and sometimes like the staff working there or the attitude is very closed off. And I wasn't in galleries that did stuff like this, but I've heard horror stories of, not being allowed to even see a price list because of what you look like, or how you speak to them, or just being judged, generally speaking. So for a long time, I actually resisted the idea of opening a gallery, even though as I progressed and people, saw me working in galleries and saw me learning how to sell and market and basically, do all of the things related to running a gallery, they started asking me, when are you going to open your own? But I saw how these spaces were being run, and that never called to me as something that I wanted to do for myself. And it wasn't until I moved abroad to Amsterdam for a year, and I ended up working for two really cool gallerists who were doing things just very differently from what I had seen their American counterparts doing. And I won't paint people with a broad brush. Like, there are amazing galleries in the States too. And I actually worked for one as my very, very first gallery internship. And that was an amazing experience, which is very, very different because they worked on like super high-end American art, like, $1 million paintings. And that was also not my space either. Like I said, I learned a lot from them. They were great, but that's not what I wanted to focus on. And so I worked with these two dealers in Amsterdam, and they were it wasn't even just about how they ran their business. It was about how they approached their whole lives. Their lives were not based around working 24/7. Like, one of them went to Ibiza with her family every August for a full month. And another one I met, she was going to be showing in an art fair, and the week before she was off in Marrakesh with her family. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. These are like jet-setting women owning like their successful, amazing businesses, but like, again, not living to work, definitely working to live. And so that just completely upended everything I had kind of learned about being in the market, on that market, and working as a high-powered business woman in the arts up until that point. And so then when I moved back, I eventually knew that I was going to be moving abroad again to be with my now husband. And I needed to figure out what I was going to do for work. I was helping Kat with Create Magazine at the time. She had officially brought me on December 2018, I believe that was. But she kind of gave me that friendly last push of, Alicia, you're ready to start your own thing. And that thing is a gallery. And so I took her advice. We launched in May of 2019. And as she always likes to say that her first magazine was very scrappy, I will say the very first iteration of PXP's website was very scrappy. There was not a lot of information, but the brass tacks were there. There's images, there's a simple way for people to browse and check out and buy the works that they liked, and of course contact me if they had any questions. We've since done a lot of improvements to make it even easier. Thank you. I do a lot of work on that and hire on experts, and I do not know how to do all of the little tweaks and nice things. But it's been an amazing 3 years. I mean, as you can imagine, we've also gone through ups and downs. It's not easy running a business during the pandemic, but just because of the uncertainty aspect. But the work from home aspect, the digital aspect, the everyone being online, absolutely worked to our benefit. I will say that in our second year, we grew like 400% in sales because since we launched in 2019, we then had that whole year to really tweak and tinker and make sure that the website worked effectively fully online. And so when the pandemic happened in 2020, or when it started, all the other galleries that didn't yet have a strong online presence were rushing to catch up, whereas I was then able to double down and make sure that we were even more optimized, and that served us really, really well. I know a lot of galleries and artists who did have their online presence established also did really well that year and continue to do so because of that. So I'm really grateful. It feels like a lot of divine timing in terms of just like having that set up a year before. But yeah, again, just really grateful that everything's happened.
There's a few things I want to say. I'm so glad that you did the thing right away and didn't wait. And so Yes, it takes me a while to create something like that. Like, you have this idea and that perfectionist piece where it's not quite ready yet. It's not quite there. I'm not going to launch it yet. And isn't Kat so great where she's just like, just launch the thing, and
Yes.
what a gift that was, because what if it took you 6 to 8 months or a year to create the perfect thing? And then you already launched. I feel like that's such a great takeaway for creatives and for anybody who has a business idea of not overthinking it, not over researching it, and just jumping in and doing it and refining it as you go.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so
And I
awesome.
think another aspect of it too is that you you might think that you're creating the perfect thing, but then when your customers actually start using it, you might find insight from them and how they are engaging with your platform that you wouldn't have figured out on your own. So yeah, you might be tinkering to make the most seamless checkout process, or to make, the beautiful images in a specific like gallery style on your site, but they might not need that, or they might not want that, or they might not care about that. So it makes a lot of sense to just go ahead and launch and start refining afterwards, once you understand how people actually use or interact with your brand, like if you're speaking like more generally.
Oh my goodness. Oh, see, I assumed that you guys started it because of the pandemic. See, I had no idea that
We're a
you've
year
been
before.
around. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So where does the magic happen? Here's one question I really want to ask you. Did you have
Okay.
anybody tell you when you started, you had this idea that you wanted to create this online gallery, this platform? Did you have anybody close to you say, I don't understand what you're doing, or this is a horrible idea? Did anybody tell you that?
Um, Luckily, no, not in that way. I mean, I'm also quite private, so I
Mm,
don't think I even told that many people. I mean, I'm sure, like, obviously my husband knew and Kat knew, and my mom, maybe some other family members, but really, like I
yeah.
mentioned, I'm pretty private, so I wouldn't have said too much about it until it was out.
Okay.
And at that point, like, you can't tell me, here it is. But I mean, throughout my career, absolutely, I've had tons of people like, oh, you're studying art. What are you going to do with an art history degree? No one makes any money doing that. XYZ, and I've had to deal with that for years and years and years and years. And I'll actually steal a piece from the Complete Smartest Guidebook, which is like, it's so interesting, like looking back and seeing how all these people wanted to define what artist, or like what working in the arts means, with such very narrow limitations, like putting us in a box, when in fact I've found the complete opposite. I mean, even within the arts, like I've worked at an auction house doing e-commerce, and I've worked in galleries doing sales, and I've done website development and social media, and I feel like I've done so many things even within the arts. It's not um, boxing me in. I feel like I've had an infinite amount of
Yeah.
opportunities. And the other cool thing is I've also made a lot of opportunities myself. I've reached out and asked to make my own internship or my own job, or
Mm-hmm.
to host a show or put on a pop-up. Like it it
Yeah.
feels the exact opposite of that. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting that people do that, or unfortunate rather.
Yeah.
But no, luckily, this time around with the business specifically, not necessarily, but
Okay.
definitely
I
throughout my
think it's a
career,
great idea,
absolutely.
but I just know from personal experience, sometimes it's like, wait, what are you going to do? Oh, why don't you? I know what you should do. Do this instead. This is something I can
Oh,
wrap
I
my
got
brain around.
that. That is what I got more. Not this is a bad idea, but this is the other idea that you could do. Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
you should, focus on this market of people that they would want high-end art, or they would want
Yeah.
to do like your own option thing. I was like, no, I've done those things.
Yes.
That's not my niche.
Well, Alicia, you are such an inspiration, and I hope your story resonates with some people and encourages them to think outside of the box, because truly, as a creative person, you can create anything. You can wear many different hats as you do and make it work and work around your own lifestyle. And I love the touch that you made on not overworking and creating that life balance. And so I see everything that you're doing, and I'm just assuming that you're just working 24 hours a day, but maybe you're not. you're doing so much, but hopefully
Thank
you're balanced. You look well rested, but I don't know.
you. Yeah, I do absolutely love and believe in balance. It's funny, I'm sure you've seen the memes that have gone around social media where like I hated my 9 to 5, so I started my own business and now I work 24/7.
Yes.
And there, it's funny because it's relatable, and not because I work 24/7, but because you kind of are always like thinking about it, even if not, top of mind. It's there, because it comes down to you when you're a solopreneur or like, small business owner. You do like invest a lot of yourself in your business, and like I said, you do care. But I absolutely try and have at least one weekend day where I don't do anything. I usually have to like manage some things on either Saturday or Sunday, but I try and take one full day off. I'm also not a morning person. I've fought that for a long time. And actually there was a period of time where I worked in the fitness industry off and on. And so I had to do like 4 a.m. lifeguarding or 4 a.m. opening the spin studio and like all of that stuff, which was horrible. But now I don't fight that at all. And my mornings are very, slow and methodical. And I'm not on my computer at 9 a.m. I'm probably finishing up my workout or getting my workout in. We walk the dog, I make breakfast. Like I probably don't start work until 11, like sometimes noon. I mean, I'm definitely more of a later in the day person. And I think it's good to embrace that. But I know that, having a normal 9 to 5 job, yeah, you can't do that. So the flexibility has been amazing because then I can get other stuff like personal errands and stuff done in the mornings. And it also works with my husband's schedule that he kind of works a little bit later into the day too. So then we finish together, have dinner a little bit on the later end, but it doesn't feel like I'm spending the whole day just like toiling away.
I think that's so awesome and very helpful because there's so much emphasis right now on the morning ritual, the 5 a.m. club and all that. And I always say I aspire to be a morning person. I have 3 children and everyone in my house is up by 6, usually 6 a.m. So right now I kind of have to be a morning person, but to get up earlier to do all of the journaling and writing and meditation and all of that, I try to do that, but I kind of like working later. And I know that a lot of creative people tend to be maybe work later in the day. So there's no shame in that game. It's whatever works for you, right? So I think that's so great.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get up early. The dog is our alarm clock. So usually by 7 at the latest, she's like humans.
Yeah.
But I don't feel the need to start working immediately. Like I can take my time and do my personal stuff. And the other cool thing is, like I mentioned, just the flexibility aspect. Like if I need to go to the bank at 3 or I need to pick up my dry cleaning at 4, like I can do that. I don't have to worry about being anywhere necessarily unless I have an important call or a meeting, which is great and definitely makes me feel like I have a lot more balance.
I love this. I feel like this is definitely helping some people out as far as even accepting the fact that, you know what, it's okay if you're not a morning person, figure out what works for you, figure out your routine and make it work. So I want to ask you there's magic behind what you're doing because you're helping a large I don't know what size the group is, but you're helping this certain group of artists that are super talented. And I think of you and Kat, you guys are like you're like the guardian angels of the art world. It's like, I always wanted somebody like you that could help. I mean, for real, I went to art school. Okay. And I had one semester called writing about art and I graduated. And I don't think that I became this amazing writer because of this one class. I didn't craft the perfect artist statement. I may have written a resume, but there's so much more to it. And also just finding places to sell art and to help. I mean, you guys are doing between Create Magazine and PXP Contemporary and all of the other things that you guys do. You're helping so many artists climb this ladder and level, advance in other levels where before, even when I graduated 16 years ago, there was this void. It was like, bye, good luck. See ya. Oh, by the way, 95% of you will never make art again. Good luck. I mean, I had
Yeah.
professors telling us this,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is kind of like, and you're okay saying that? I feel like if a doctor told 95% of his patients after surgery that they were going to like not survive, like that's not okay. Anyway, that's not a good analogy, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So there's so much behind this. You have this group of artists now, you have this art that's reasonably priced, that's very good because you do have a curator's eye, and the shows that you put together and the artists that you represent are very high quality. What is the best part of what you do? Like, I feel like there is some really fulfilling things happening on both sides. When you connect with a new collector and they buy for the first time, or when you help a new artist who may have been struggling and later on you see them doing X, Y, and Z. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I will, but I want to rewind back because when I originally talked about the artist side of the mission of PXP and go into specifics about this, but that void is absolutely something that I noticed, and what I saw specifically happening was an artist would come out of school, and unless they came from like the Yale MFA programs or like the equivalent of that, a gallery just wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole because they wanted to start work that was probably like $5,000, $10,000. And you usually aren't ready to sell at that price point just out of school or if you're self-taught. And so what you need then is the experience, working with the gallerist who can help, move your prices up to that level, or like the experience of selling on your own to be able to do that, which was difficult before Instagram and social media in general. And so it was like this catch-22. You needed the experience, but the guys wouldn't give you the experience. And so it went in a cycle that, or not even a cycle, because they couldn't get into it at all. And so that's also why I specifically work within this price range of like 40-ish to 2,500, because that is like a really nice price point for artists when they're starting out. It allows them to move up eventually. And then for new collectors, it's also not as intimidating as starting out with a $5,000, $10,000 piece. They get started with a print, they get started with a small painting, and then even with me, they grow. So I've had people that start out with 50, 250, and then go up to 600, 1,000, and then they move on from there. So, but now I'll get to your question. The magic is definitely on both sides. I love working with the artists. I love finding a new artist that stops me in my tracks. Like recently, I posted those, or I shared a collection of a new sculptor, Jennifer Koshman, who does these little figurative resin sculptures. And finding her on Instagram like stopped me in my tracks. I loved them as soon as I saw them. And then the collector side, it's just great to meet other like-minded people who love art. But the magic is actually in both of them coming together. Like when I find, or when I'm able to connect the collector who falls in love with that piece to the artist, that is the exciting bit. Because of course, as you know, as an artist, you're so excited that someone understands you, you feel seen, you feel that excitement that someone has engaged with your work. And then as a collector, you get to own something beautiful. You get to own, you get to be a part of this person's passion and their creativity, and you get to support what they do. So I find that my collectors are definitely like true patrons. They love artists, they love art, they want to support them, and they believe in the power of art. So definitely the magic is kind of where those two things meet. That's why I love both sides of it.
And I think that's so, the way that you do it is so different because you're not the gallery who is keeping all of this information. These are your patrons that come to your gallery and you share, you are making these connections, which, okay, maybe the artist ends up selling a piece out of their studio to this person, and whether or not you make that commission, I don't know what the arrangement is, but
yeah, mine is
you are
specific.
Oh, okay. So
so I consign specific pieces. So if it's not consigned to me, the artist is fully free to sell on their own to that same collector. I do not get any commission on that.
wow, that's so generous and that's awesome. You truly are looking out for the artist in a way that is so refreshing. And as an artist who has exhibited in different galleries, the trust level. So I've been in quite a few galleries over the last 16 years, and it's hard to trust a gallery owner. You can have a couple bad situations happen, and then suddenly you may not necessarily want to work with a gallery for, it could be years, or it could be forever, trying to sell on your own. But I do believe in the power of gallery representation. And I think if you can do both, that's great. So that's so amazing that you do that. Now, I want to say, because I have artists listening, I've had this mindset for a lot of years where, it's like the starving artist mentality where artists appreciate other art, but I'm an artist. I can't afford to buy other people's art because I'm an artist. But then one day this whole magical thing happened where Danielle Kriza from the Jealous Curator posted about Celine Gabrielle's artwork. And then Ashley Longshore purchased her artwork. And it was this magical thing. Okay. And so that was, obviously I know other artists buy other people's work, other artists' work, okay. But for me, that was a huge moment where I thought, well, if Ashley Longshore has a collection of art, I can too. I can purchase prints or other things from other artists. And so that transaction has, I know, benefited artists in other ways, such as this kind of situation where maybe other artists feel the same way. Like, wow, I can access and find art and purchase it also. And so at that time, you guys had a show, and I found a piece from one of my favorite artists, Volta from Color Snack. And I thought, because Ashley did this really cool thing, obviously I'm not Ashley Longshore, but I'm an artist and I can support another artist. And I also was really interested in what it looked like from a consumer end of purchasing through PXP Contemporary. So I am a customer of yours now, and the process was very smooth and it was beautiful. And so I found a beautiful watercolor painting that Volta created, and it was part of one of your shows online. It was like seasonal exhibition. I don't remember what the theme was even.
It was treats.
Yes.
It was our anniversary show last year.
Remember.
I have some artists who do like dessert art themed pieces. And so when it came time to do the planning for an anniversary show, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna do something really fun. I need it. I think people will like it, and it does go along with some of the artists I have already. So I think it was 10 artists, and they all created different kinds of like paintings, sculptures, watercolors about desserts, their favorite desserts. So
it was so fun. So I ordered the piece. Volta sent it to me. So you have your artist shipping directly to the buyer. Yes. And then I don't know if you do this normally. I don't make any promises, but you sent me the sweetest note like a month later or so. And it had a print of Pia Samant, who's one of your artists. And I am a huge fan of her work. So it was like a sweet bonus because I got this little card of one of her paintings. And I'm like, man, that is classy. That's really cool. So the whole process was wonderful, and definitely feel like I'll be coming back and buying more. But it's just one way of illustrating that artists can support other artists for sure. And this is a really cool way and Volta did interact with me. She sent me a note and some freebies with my painting, and oh my goodness. So all good feelings, all good things coming from that.
Yeah, I mean, that actually was it goes back to our time in art school when we used to trade prints or trade small paintings. And actually the very first art I ever bought was one of Kat's paintings that I still have. And I mean, at the time she charged me a ridiculously low price, but we were both art students. So that's just, we all did that. But yeah, it goes back to that where a fair portion of my clients at PXP are actually artists themselves. So they understand exactly what it means to create and and the joy of having artwork around them. Like, they are creative people, they want to have like beautiful things that surround their space. So it's been just really cool seeing a lot of artists supporting other artists' work.
Okay, I want to talk about your website. Your websites,
Okay.
you're like my hashtag website goals. So I feel like I feel like my website feels a touch scrappy right now. It's about a year old, and it definitely, I need to sit down and do some more work. Obviously, we all need to put work into our websites, but I'm somebody who's never purchased art online. Okay, I'm thinking about a painting, and I go onto your website, and you have about a dozen artists that are your regular, they're your represented artists, right? And then you have guest artists, and then you have feature exhibitions going on.
Correct.
What does that look like? And what about if somebody's interested, do you send them extra images, or what does that process look like if somebody's finding something and they're interested but they're not sure? Maybe this is their first time.
Sure. So, I mean, someone who stumbles upon our website for the first time, actually, I just integrated this year a really cool video welcome series with a program called Tolstoy. Actually, my husband found this on TikTok, and he was like, I think this would be really great for your website. I was like, oh, wow, yeah, really cool. So we recorded these like 5 videos in the span of a weekend, and I put them up the following week. And so when you first come on the homepage, you'll actually see a little video of me welcoming you.
I saw,
And
it's cool.
yeah, and so that just gives a brief overview of the gallery, and then gives some quick links on how to best use and navigate the site, which is, you can browse by the medium, so like painting, collage, sculpture. You can browse by price point. We have under 1,000, under 500, even under 50. Or you can browse by artist. So if you know that you're interested in a certain artist's work, perhaps you've seen them on Instagram and seen that they have work with me, or you've seen me post about them on our PXP account, then you can directly just go to the artist page and see each artist's name, like listed alphabetically, represented, and then invited. So beyond that, if you go on an artwork page, you see all of the images, all of the information, all of the price. We also are partners with Art Placers. So there are 2 red buttons on each page where you can see any 2-dimensional works placed in a virtual space, or if you have a photo of your, let's say you want a piece to hang above your couch in your living room, you can snap a photo of that, upload it into our system, and it will place that artwork digitally onto that photograph. Yeah, so then you can actually see what it would look like in your space, get it an actual visual image.
That is cool.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. I'm so glad that we were able to partner with them at the end of last year and get that all integrated into our site. And then beyond that, though, of course, if you have any questions about shipping or about setting up a payment plan, which some people do with us, if you have questions about, this is a gift, can we send it at a certain time, or can we send it wrapped, or anything like that, I'm always happy to help. I love those. We've had some really fun gifts.
Not an anniversary gift for some guy.
Yeah, not those. So like birthday gifts for friends, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And yeah, people can easily just contact me, send me an email. I'm always very responsive and happy to help.
Okay.
So
your customer service is top notch. It is.
Thanks.
Oh, amazing. Okay. Let me see. I'm looking at my notes. I'm having a hard time here. Let's see. Okay. Because you don't work 1,000,000 hours a week, but what you're doing takes a lot of work. And if people are not familiar, most galleries take a commission, which you don't have to tell us how much it is, but it's well deserved because it's a lot of work to do what you're doing. And you do a fantastic job promoting the artist, talking about their art. It's definitely more than most galleries I see. I think you just do such a great job of sharing, and all of the Instagram reels and information you put out there. What does a day look like? We kind of talked about that, but all the things, what does it take to put on an online exhibition, for instance? I don't even know how you answer this, but there's so many parts.
I will try. So I guess quickly, as you might imagine, a day never looks the same. I mean, like I mentioned, the dog wakes me up in the morning, so we go take her out for a walk. Then I come back, try and get a workout in. And start my day just kind of naturally 10ish to 11ish. And I'm always checking the back end of the website. I have to make sure, one, it's functioning properly, but two, I just always like to keep an eye on the analytics to make sure that I see where our referrals are coming in, see what people are looking at today. Maybe that might guide what I might post about. For example, if I see there's a lot of traffic on one particular piece, then I'll probably post about it so that maybe it finally like makes that sale. And also just keeping track of our orders and conversion rates and those kind of things. So I'm not a data nerd. I had to learn all of this stuff. So if you're like a little confused about all that, that's okay. If you want to start an online business, like that's all stuff you can learn. I absolutely did. And then, as you talked about before, I also do things with Create, and I'm a writer. And so I live and die by my rolling to-do list. I color code it I color code my tasks by importance. So red is like, do this today,
Nice.
Do it first, do not skip it. Orange is like, it needs to be done this week. And then that's kind of how it goes. And then what was the second part of the question? Oh, how do I put together online exhibition? So it's how I find artists is a mix these days. I do have calls to art occasionally. And so people will apply with their work and I review them periodically. But I still do come across artists on Instagram. Sometimes I'm, scrolling through and I find things on my explore page or people recommend artists to me. So I find artists that way as well. When I want to do an exhibition, the themes kind of always come to me organically. So like I said, that treats just kind of felt right for our anniversary. And once I have a theme, then I find the artists that will go and fit along with that. Usually I have like a group of them to start, and then I'll kind of fill in the gaps. And then it's a lot of admin work on the back end. It's like getting the exhibition or getting all of the images together, uploading everything onto the site, making sure I have their bios and statements and resumes, like all of their documents to support the work. Talking about any shipping or pricing things with them. And then of course, just tons of marketing stuff in the background. So a lot of social media content, a little bit of writing, helping to promote via Create or any other platforms that have shown interest in the exhibitions. I've now been doing, or for this show, I did a virtual component on ArtPlacer as well. So then it meant uploading all of the artworks on there in addition to PXP. And just continuous marketing throughout the show, a lot of emails. But I love all that stuff. So
I
don't know.
Never a dull moment.
No.
Yeah, it's amazing. There's so many parts that I think people don't realize. So thank you for sharing all of that. And it sounds like a lot, but I'm sure you have your systems and you have, like you said, you check certain things at certain times of the day and you're very strategic, and all that's so important. And I understand where feeling like you're not a tech person. I know as an artist, it's like I pictured myself in my studio painting every day and listening to music, and man, so much of it is the admin part or the computer part, and it's just part of it, and that's okay. And it's creative. You can be creative in that way too. You offer services for artists, and I want you to touch base on that. What are you offering? What kind of services do you offer for artists?
Sure. So it's funny. I feel like this kind of just happened. I didn't seek out to have this be a part of my business, but it just kind of naturally evolved where, because I am a writer, people would ask me, like, can you look over my bio and statement, or can you check my resume to make sure it looks okay? And so eventually I just kind of formalized it into specific services. Like, I'm not a coach. I don't like do those kind of sessions. I just very specifically focus on these like editing bios and statements. And then I also have been doing these templates where I make just like plug and play, easy to use things for artists. So I have my resume one, which has been my top seller. Like, everyone has been pretty excited to just have something that can just be a
Mhm.
very easy guideline of how to write the resume. And I've done a couple other ones like the subject lines, calls to action, and I'm forgetting the rest, but
Yeah.
I think there's a few little things on my website and I have a few more coming.
Yes. And those resources are so helpful for artists. And there's just not a lot of stuff like that out there. So you're just, it's like you're on Shark Tank. You have all these, you saw the need and why not? Right. And probably a
Mhm.
lot of this stemmed from the book that you co-wrote with Kat. So do you want to talk about the Complete Smartest Guide?
Yes. I mean, it's still so crazy that that we have this book out. I mean, her and I never expected to be here on this book journey. We just started at some point. She had the idea that we should share some of what we went through because both of us, we kind of grew up in the industry together. She graduated a year before I did, but then we stayed in touch throughout the years after school. And in that time, I mean, we just experienced the gamut of things, good and bad, and trying to figure out what we wanted to do in our respective careers. And so we just learned so much. And eventually, she had started to create and wanted to build up the blog content. And she had the idea, let's start writing not just about, interviews with artists and reviews and those kind of things, but our experiences. Let's just share some of the things we've learned. And those became immediately the top read posts on the site. And so from that, we created our first book. It was small, 80 pages from the blog post that we had put together at the time. And it went to the #1 spot in our category overnight. Like we had no ideas, no expectations. We put it together with our designer. Like we really did not think this would happen. And like I said, it was a great success. And so we realized that this could be better, this could be bigger. And so we took her
Mhm.
off the market, expanded it over a year's time, and it became a 330-page book with almost everything we could
Yeah,
think
it's
of to put
awesome.
in
I
there.
recommend it. It's very
Yeah,
complete.
thank you.
Yes, it is.
um, so yeah, that's now been over a year now. I can remember, yeah, over a
Yeah.
year that it's been out on the market, and it's been great. I think the coolest thing is that we just continue to see like stories and posts like, oh, I picked up the Complete Smartest Guide and I read this on page 230 that really made sense to me, or like
Yeah.
I saw something in this chapter that was so helpful. And it's so worth it to get those kind of messages. I mean, but it's still surprising, like I get
Yeah.
those
You forget
DMs
about
and I'm
it,
like,
probably.
yeah, a little bit,
Ah,
but
it is.
it's
It's a
great.
great, I recommend it. There's so many sections. I know there's parts of it that's like, oh, I really need to look back at that and reference it and kind of figure out what they did. And it's so generous because I feel like even when I graduated, there were so many secrets, and even amongst professors not wanting to share, or maybe their path was in the college world versus going out on your own to become a professional artist looks way different.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
and then asking other professional artists how they did it, there were a lot of secrets, and it's so refreshing to have transparency and to help. I mean, that's just such a gift. So I know on behalf of all of the artists, thank you. Thank you for doing that. And also making it normal and being a good example of sharing what your knowledge and your gifts and not just holding that in. So that's just so amazing. What do you have coming up? I know we're getting to the end here. What do you have coming up for PXP? I know you have a show coming, you have an exhibition online right now, and you have other things in your future. Just tell us all about it, what you're doing.
Sure. So yes, our current exhibition is called Chromatic. It's our first of this year in 2022. It is a group exhibition featuring all abstract artists working in both painting and collage, including some of the represented artists I work with and several invited artists who are new. So that will close at the end of April. Please don't miss that, since by the time this comes out, it'll only be a few weeks left. And then in addition to that, well, I'll mention it because it's fun. We're going to Washington, D.C. to do our first in-person art fair, which I had signed up back
Yay.
in 2020. And so it just
Oh,
kept getting pushed because of the pandemic. So this is 2 years later that we're finally making it happen. I'm very excited, a little nervous, but
where is it?
by the time this in DC, in Washington, DC.
Okay.
Yeah, so by the time this comes out, it'll be done. So hopefully it'll go really, really well. I'm manifesting, right?
Yes. And do you
And
plan on
then
doing more in person? In
we
person?
will see. We will
Oh,
see how this goes because I kind of went all in. I got a huge booth. I'm bringing a ton of work, a lot of artists, and
yay.
I just really, really hope that people come out and come see it and support, so that we can continue to do this kind of stuff. But it's a big experiment because, putting that money into this kind of investment, it also then takes away from online investing I could do, and whether that's through ads or through upgrading the website even more or like hiring assistants. So we'll see. It's interesting, but I'm potentially excited that, like I said, that I know I've done everything that I can. I've done a lot of preparation. I'm bringing just really, really exciting work. So it'll just be a matter of like the reception and how the event goes. But I'm
Oh,
hopeful, I'm optimistic. And then in addition to that, I mentioned I'm working on personally a few more templates and courses and things for artists. So keep an eye out. But the most exciting thing for PXP is that we're going to be turning 3 in May. I cannot believe it.
wow.
Um, this time, time flies when you're having fun, I guess. So I don't have any like specific celebrations planned, but there will absolutely be new artwork, new collections, and a summer show, which I have an interesting idea for, but I haven't fleshed it out yet, so I won't give away any details yet.
Oh
But
man.
yeah, I
Okay.
think it'll be a fun one, definitely a different one. So you have
Okay.
to wait.
We're gonna have all of your links, Alicia, posted in the show notes. And I am a part of your email subscription. I highly recommend that. You send a beautiful newsletter with all of the information in it. So everyone should join that. Maybe we can have a link to that. I don't know, or just a
Sure.
link to your website.
Yeah,
And
that works.
okay. And so you're doing that. Anything else coming up? Sounds like you have a lot.
Yeah, yeah, I think, well, oh, I wish I could say there's another big project behind the scenes that Kat and I are working on,
Mm,
but that's still a little hush hush for now. But
okay.
hopefully we'll be able to announce that soon because that is like just next level. We've really been working away like our little our little selves. And I think people are gonna be excited about it. We
Oh,
definitely are.
gee, man, I
I
my
know,
my imagination's going crazy.
I
I
know,
would
I
love to
wish
have
I
you
could say
back.
more.
I would love to have you back on the show and talk about you as a creative person, as an artist. And I know you've recently become yoga certified. Can I say that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And all of those things, because you have all of these things that you do and you still have your other creative outlets. But maybe we can talk about that in a second. I would like to, if is there anything else you want to talk about? Or we think we're good?
Yes,
I have
I
my
think
rapid
that's
fire
good.
round, random
Oh gosh.
questions.
I'm not good on the spot, but okay, I'll try.
All right, top of mind, nothing embarrassing. It's fine. I'll be
Okay,
easy on you.
okay.
Okay, this one's a softball. So, what is your favorite color?
Mm, Pink and black.
Nice. Pink's my favorite color.
Yeah, I
Perfect.
think I black to wear, pink as like, I don't know, as like in art or in things and
Hmm.
around me, flowers. Like I like peonies, so.
Nice. I knew we were friends for a reason. Okay. Where I love pink too. Where does inspiration strike for you? So, where do you get your ideas? Some people get their ideas in the shower, some I don't. I get my ideas when I'm driving alone in my car. But where do you get those moments of aha where you make a realization for something new?
Oof. Good question. I don't know if I have like one spot. I don't have a good answer for this. I really don't. Just
Okay.
kind of like whenever. I think no. My answer will be like when I'm not trying. Like,
Oh,
but
nice.
I have to like not be thinking about work, not be trying to come up with the next big thing. That's when I'm I'll just be like reading a book, or, on a hike with my husband and dog, or just doing something random. And then like, I should do that.
Okay.
Why haven't I done this before? So
So when you're
the
not
le-
working, when you're
the less
relaxed.
mhm, the less effort you put on it, the more likely it just is to like arrive.
I like it. That's good. All right. Movie, book, or mention that you want to bring up. It could be like your favorite, other than the Complete Smartest Guide. What is there a book that you read? Is there a book that you read that just really changed everything for you, or you want to mention it just because you love it?
Okay, don't laugh, but the Harry Potter series.
Yes. See, okay. Did you read them?
I did, of course. So actually, I have a funny story. I picked up the first book and I stopped after the first chapter, and I was like, no, this isn't me. And then my mom picked it up and she read it and she was like, no, Alicia, you have to read this. And so then I finished it, of course, loved it, and became obsessed with the series. And I still, like, my husband makes fun of me, but I still watch those movies.
Oh, yeah.
Even now as an adult, I love them.
Yes.
But I mean, like, just thinking about magic, like, you as a creative, like that, it inspires you and like makes you believe. And I
In
don't know.
that
It's
world.
also just like, yeah. And also I guess the fact that an author could come up with every single detail in an entirely new world, from like what they drink to like what they wear, and all of the like, there's so much creativity in that.
Yeah.
It's insane. So just, I mean, there was a lot of I was always a reader growing up. So even before that, I had read like little fantasy sci-fi kind of series that were similar. And I always I always just loved them. But I think that one really had an impact. And also like that was one of the first strong like female lead
Yes.
characters. Like it was okay that she was a nerd, you know,
Yeah. Yes.
because she ended up like saving the day all the time. So
Right.
that was also cool. Like I think a lot of young, shy, introverted girls saw themselves in Hermione. Um, but yeah, I think just generally speaking, like I was absolutely a reader, and I still love to read so much. So that, even though
Oh
I didn't know
man.
it then, had an impact on me today, because now I'm a writer. And so I use all of that, like storytelling and detail, like all of those are skills that you end up needing
Oh
in
my goodness.
writing.
I think that it's one of my favorite series and books too. I've read the series back to back twice. That's how nerdy I am. And definitely J.K. Rowling, you just can't, I mean, her writing is amazing. She actually got me back into reading. I was in high school when the first book came out. And then, yeah, so love, 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 love all that. See, oh man. And my kids now are reading Harry Potter, which is the coolest thing. My first one read all of them. My second one's on the sixth book right now. And we're actually going to take them to Harry Potter World this summer.
Exciting.
I know. I can't even be like, get out of my way. Like we're
Yeah,
so
Kat
excited. I
saying
mean,
that
they want
like
to do
that's,
that before Disney. So, okay.
yeah.
Is there an art form or sport that you admired and you wished you were good at, but you're not? It's kind of a weird question. So
Oh wow. No, there.
you're probably good
That's
at everything.
no, no. Yeah, no, I used to, I you would never guess, but I used to play field hockey and I was the goalie. I used to be a swimmer. I played lacrosse for a hot minute. That was not a good fit. But I guess maybe gymnastics. I used to do
Hmm.
gymnastics when I was like really, really young. And I mean, you have to start when you're like
Yeah.
2, because by the time you're,
Yeah.
5, 6, they're already like doing 10
Hmm.
backflips. And I started too late, even though I started at like 6 or
Yeah.
whatever
That's a
it was.
world.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's just so cool. I think I love watching that a lot in the Olympics. That and diving. That's
Oh, diving
probably
is so cool.
it's
I
so
love that.
cool.
I I love that so much. Yeah, swimming, and I'm not a good swimmer, so I aspire to be like that. Anyway, what is your work beverage of choice? Like when you're working, what do you like to have?
Um, Mostly water. I know I'm incredibly boring in saying that, but I don't drink soda like ever, and I'm not much of a tea drinker. I only really drink tea when I'm sick, so I think I have then associated it with being sick, and so then
Hmm.
I don't like just drink it on my own. Um, Occasionally a chai though.
Oh,
I will
nice.
I will take a good chai.
No coffee?
No coffee. I know I'm
Okay.
a nut, but
No,
no coffee.
I'm shocked the amount of artists. So I've asked the same question, and I don't think anyone has said coffee yet. Like nobody drinks coffee.
Really?
It's such a stereotype for artists. Like have to have your coffee. I like coffee, but
Mhm.
okay. What is your favorite creative hobby or pastime? Like if you have an hour of time to be creative, and that could be cooking or sewing or writing. Well, you write all the time, but what's the fun random side hobby that you have that you like to do?
Yeah. I mean, I will paint on my own, but I like that you mentioned cooking because I do enjoy that a lot. I've like in the past several months gotten into going on Pinterest to find new recipes or finding
Oh,
recipes on
yay.
Instagram and trying them out. I love baking too, so
Me
those
too.
are definitely creative outlets
Mm-hmm.
that I very much enjoy.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Okay. This is my last question to you. What is a creative challenge or advice that you could give the listener? So maybe it's somebody who's never purchased a piece of art, or maybe your creative challenges for an artist. So that could be like two different things.
Okay, so for collectors, a few like quick fire tips. Measure twice, cut once, which means to like know the approximate size of what you're looking for, because especially online, it's hard to tell scale sometimes unless you have that like integration like ArtPlace, so you can see what it would look like on the wall. And you can end up buying something huge that that
Yeah.
would overpower the space, or something teeny that like
Yeah.
it doesn't even look like it holds the wall at all. Um, so, think about, definitely consider the size that you need. If you don't have a strict budget, like if you don't set a number, at least have a range of what you want to spend so that you're like more focused on where you should be looking and from whom you can purchase, and like how much flexibility you might have. Like if you fall in love with two pieces, maybe can you swing that? Um, Ask a lot of questions and don't be afraid, especially like if you're either if you're buying from a gallery or from artists. Both of these parties should very much be willing to speak with you, and should be more than happy to. If not, they're not the right fit, they're not it.
Mhm.
um what else? I mean,
What
those are
about
like three good ones to
what
start with,
about
but
price? Do you feel like negotiating on price is okay? Do you have people that are, because I
it
feel like that
depends
makes
on.
people squeamish if they come to my studio and they're like, wow, I like this, but I mean, I've learned how to navigate around this. Sometimes I'm very firm on my price. Sometimes you can shave a little off. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it depends. If you're working with a gallery, like usually they'll be a little bit flexible. If you're a repeat customer, if you're buying one thing at a time. But when you're working with an artist directly, I mean, I think it's kind of more on the polite side to be
Not.
ready to pay what they're quoting you or estimating. Again, you're investing in their work, in their dream, in their livelihood. Like if you go to a salaried job, like
Yeah.
no one's asking you, will you do this for 10% less? So
Right.
consider that, they're people, they need to eat, they need to provide for their families. So that's again why it's good to kind of like know your money beforehand. So hopefully you can even like get an idea of what their ranges are by quickly going on their on their website or on their social media accounts if they have e-commerce kind of linked, just to get an idea of what their price points might look like before you even reach out, so that it doesn't come to kind of the awkward head.
Yeah.
Um, but it always depends on the situation. Some artists like kind of build that into their pricing. Some are willing to work with you if you are buying more than one piece at a time, or if it's not about the price, maybe you're able to negotiate on things like shipping or framing or other aspects. Like everyone, like, ultimately it's a win-win situation on both sides. So I feel like it's good to just kind of be flexible in the negotiations.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, try not to make it awkward if
Yeah.
you do ask.
Yeah. Oh, I love your answer so much because you truly care about the artists and you're looking out for us. Because sometimes it gets tricky, right? And definitely people want to, I've had weird things. Yeah, like you're not going to negotiate with your plumber, but you know. Okay, what's
Makes
your
sense,
advice for
right?
artists? Real quick, if you have time.
Yeah, can I even think of a good like challenge that they ask me a lot? I don't know. I mean, why don't we just use the same pricing thing or negotiating? Like, what do you do if a collector is coming to you and wants a ridiculous price point? Well, you can say like, have it, have kind of a script ready in your
Mm-hmm.
head so that you're not just like trying to come up with them and then you sound like you're hesitating and so they'll push you even more. Like, be firm. So one, like, have confidence, stand up straight, make sure that you're like not not letting them push you over. There's another thing that I read about in an article once, which is just like, keep quiet, because sometimes like when you're in that negotiation and there's that pause, you you give away too much, because then you're immediately like, well, but if you really need to, okay, then we can go 20%. But if you had just waited that extra 5 cents, 5 seconds, then they would have been like, okay, I'll take it at
Mm-hmm.
whatever price, instead of, if you go ahead and offer that extra 10 or extra 15, well, then there's that, extra 10, 15 that you just lost. And the same, like, that can happen also back and forth with emails. Like, sometimes you just have to like give them that time to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, be confident about your prices, be firm, have an idea in advance how much you are willing to go. Like, I usually can do like 10, at the most 15 on in certain occasions, definitely not with all pieces. But I know that's my limit. Like, if you're gonna ask me for more than that, it's a
Yeah.
no. And
Yeah.
you have to be willing to walk away too. So like, be be aware that you have your boundaries and you have set those limits, and you have to be ready to let those people walk away
Yeah.
and know that the right collectors will come back to you. So I guess those are a couple of tactics.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's so good. I love that so much. Well, is there anything else you want to share? Or there's so many good takeaways. This has been wonderful.
Thank you. No, I think we covered most
Yeah.
of it, or all
Yeah.
of it really. But if there are any other, things that people want to know, just
What's the best
keep in
way to get a
touch,
hold of you,
follow.
Alicia? What do you prefer?
Yeah. Um, so you can of course follow the gallery at PXP Contemporary, email the gallery. That's all on the website, www.pxpcontemporary.com. And then I am personally on Instagram at PuigPix. It's my personal Instagram. So I mean, you get pictures of my husband and my dog and my life, but also the art things that I'm up to. Because that's like the only real place besides my website that I, share all of
Mm-hmm.
my multiple art things that are happening. Like, on the
Mm-hmm.
gallery, I mostly just focus on my
Yeah.
curating and some speaking engagements and things, but like, you won't see my writing there. So if you want to follow along with my writing, then my personal one might work for that. But my personal website is also, or my personal business website is the hub for all of my things. So that's where you'll find links to all the different blogs, publications I write for, speaking engagements I've done, and all my templates and services. So that's
Yes.
just www.aliciapuig.com.
Nice. Well, thank you so much. This was amazing. You shared so much, and I hope some people look on your website and maybe collect their first piece of art or find a new artist to be obsessed with and excited. And the work on your website, the artists that you represent are all top notch. And there's just some incredible pieces on there. Your shows that you curate are amazing. And I'm so excited to see what you come up with the rest of this year and what kind of new things you're offering and all of the shows and all of the things. So thank you
Thank
again
you.
thank you for being on the show and for taking your time and sharing with us and helping us out and everything. It's been really great.
Thanks
So
again for having me.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Alicia. And thanks for tuning into the podcast. And we will catch you next week on the next episode. Thanks again, Alicia. Bye.
Bye.